talking about this record.
I know
yet.
we're doing mine first, but I feel like these two albums, for some reason, are more cohesive than the last episode.
Dude, yeah, of course, last episode. But no, there are a lot of like thematic similarities between the two albums, and I didn't see that coming at all.
Dude, okay.
I got some notes.
All right. So Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds pushed the sky away. Now, I'm going to tell you why I picked this particular album, okay?
Was it the naked lady on the cover?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay.
I did also, you told me right before, well, I don't know if we were filming when you said it, but you said you didn't realize there was a naked lady on the cover.
No, I didn't look at the cover at all.
I did not realize that for a long time either. So
okay.
It comes with the territory.
Yes.
But Nick Cave has a massive catalog of varying styles and musical pedigrees, whatever it is. I picked this album just because I think it encompasses like newer Nick Cave stuff really well, but also kind of teeters on like a lot of transitional stuff because he's delved into gospel, ambient, just straight up rock and roll kind of shit. Very, very fascinating man. I was really into Nick Cave like 4 or 5 years ago. Like I have so many fucking Nick Cave CDs up there, and I've seen him live. He's very incredible live. He was in a really rad, disgusting post-punk band called The Birthday Party.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, man. That's some real brutal shit. They're, like, from Australia, moved to Berlin, Germany, and were just, like, strung out on drugs and just, like, total assholes. But then he started Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and I think they're one of my favorite bands of all time. He's one of my favorite artists. I love the way he does lyrics. It's just so cool. He's so poetic. And, I picked this album because I think it's his album after Skeleton Tree is probably what got me into it, which that album is even more ambient than this one.
Okay.
It's 8 songs, and it's heavy as fuck emotionally. It's probably one of the saddest albums. I almost recommended it to you.
2016. Okay.
Yeah, I almost recommended that to you for the Outside Each Other episode, but we'll have to come back to it at some point. But this album I thought was just an overcompassing kind of like good representation of Nick Cave as he is now, I think, even though it's from a while ago. But one of my favorite songs of all time on here, Higgs Boson Blues, is on this, and Jubilee Street are both amazing songs, and Mermaids. Like, I think overall as an album, it's really cool, and it sounds great. And I'm sure you might know Nick Cave and Warren Ellis from The Road.
The Road soundtrack.
That is correct.
More so the assassination of
Jesse
Jesse James by
right.
the coward Robert Ford. You have to say the entire title. That's one of my favorite movies, and they both worked on the soundtrack for that, which I had never heard of Ellis Ward before.
Or Warren Ellis?
Warren Ellis. I don't know where I got that name from. I just pulled it out. I don't know. Warren Ellis.
Yeah. So Nick Cave has had a lot of like musical partners in Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Like, he had Mick Harvey, he's had Blixa, he's had Warren Ellis, and some of them have, like, overlapped on when they've been in the band. This was the first album without Mick Harvey, and he was a huge, huge help with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And it was his first album with Warren Ellis just collaborating, and they've been collaborators ever since, and they make a lot of really beautiful music, because Warren's, like, a violin player, and he plays, like, a little Korg synthesizer, just a real cheap one. That's what he used on this whole record.
That's cool.
So, I love this album so much, and hearing the songs from this album live was just wonderful. So, that's my 2 cents on it. I really love this record. It's probably my top 3 Nick Cave albums. I wouldn't say it's my favorite.
Okay.
But I picked it because I figured as like a first-time listener. This is probably the first album I listened to. I was like, whoa, this is like kind of make you think a little bit more music to me when I was listening to it. He's got a massive catalog, so I mean, you could go.
He had a
about
ton
of records.
Yeah,
and and not my favorite Nick Cave record, but it's one of my top 3 for sure. I just thought it'd be a good one for you. I felt it was appropriate for some reason. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but let's hear if it's right or wrong.
It's
right. I was right.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So what are your thoughts on this album?
So my first, like, as soon as it started playing. Maybe it's just because I know him from soundtracks, but it was just cinematic. Everything felt really big and cinematic to me. It seems like it would fit really well in like a good film, like a good film with a sad ending.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't really know what to expect. Like I said, I knew Red Right Hand. And that's about it. Also, while we were talking about Assassination of Jesse James, he's in that movie.
Right. He
plays a song, but
yeah.
Go watch that movie. Nobody appreciates that movie.
Here, I'll put up the thing right here.
The Thing. Yes.
There it is. Okay, it's gone.
So yeah, I thought it was very cinematic. Let me get a song list pulled up. Actually, I already have it pulled up. Yeah, We Know Who You Are.
Great.
Immediately, just like pops in and starts going. Wide Lovely Eyes does that like palm muty thing.
Yeah.
And it seems like it shouldn't work, but then it works, and it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It like seems like it doesn't make sense, but then as the song progresses and it builds a little more, it like fits everything. All the pieces fit together.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
He's really good at composing shit like that. Where you're like, what is this? Or like making one thing and building so much off of one thing.
Yes, I think my favorite was probably Higgs Boson.
Higgs Boson Blues.
Higgs Boson Blues.
Yeah, that one has great lyrics. Hannah Montana.
Yeah, his lyrics are weird. Some of them are hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's funny.
They are goofy. The shaking their asses in Water's Edge.
Yeah,
I laughed every single time I heard that.
Yeah,
they
were all shaking their asses.
And I don't think it's supposed to be a joke. Like I think he was doing it earnestly.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know with Nick Cave.
Dude,
what he's doing.
That crazy Australian.
Oh yeah.
But that shaking their asses. He's so out of place. It's very funny.
That's what I think is hilarious is because this music's like really, like you said, it's cinematic. It's this like really big thing. And then sometimes his lyrics are just like, what the fuck was that? But I think it's
the match that would fire up her snatch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which song was? I don't even remember what song.
The
that
match
was
that would fire up.
I think it's We Real Cool.
That sounds right.
Nope. No.
Here, I have his lyric book right there. We could go through it.
I mean, I can.
It's from Mermaids.
Mermaids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was fired from.
Oh yeah, that's from the very beginning.
Now I sit around and watch.
Yes.
I love Mermaids. It's a really good one.
The Mermaids. Yep.
But I'd say Jubilee Street's like that's considered a Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds classic.
I like Jubilee Street. I also like finishing Jubilee Street.
Yeah, that's such a like meta song because the song's about him finishing the song.
Yeah. Apparently, after he wrote Jubilee Street, which in the album in the song, it's about like a prostitute in a neighborhood run by the Russian mob and stuff like that. And he just kind of assumed that's what Jubilee Street was like, and then he actually went there, and he was just like, "Oh, you can get like sushi and go to the library here." So I can't remember exactly where. Yeah, it's an interview with The Sun. God. He says, if people think they're going to have a good time down Jubilee Street, I'd say forget about it unless they're particularly interested in going to the library or Yo Sushi. He was apparently thinking of a different street, and then he got there, and he was just like, oh no, this is fucking Jubilee Street.
He's like, oh shit, the other one's a block over.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So apparently Jubilee Street is a very nice place. It's a very normal place.
And he's talking all this shit.
Yeah.
There's a diss track on there.
Is he talking shit? That one had some really weird themes in it. That's where I found a picture. Because I was on Genius, because that's a good resource when finding out what songs are about. Mm-hmm. And he has all the stuff like the fetus on a leash, and I got love in my tummy and a tiny little pain.
Yeah.
And check
10
this.
ton catastrophe
check this out.
and a 50-pound chain.
Yeah.
I love that lyric.
This is the picture.
Whoa.
It's a pregnant dude. We'll put that up on the screen. But it's interesting. He puts like his search for like spirituality is always going towards like women and sexuality at the same time. In a lot of his songs, especially like Mermaids, and then what was the name of that song? The Water's Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a really interesting take on spirituality because a lot of his music, like his record Arbitrois Blues, The Lyra Orpheus, is a double record. It's the one I was talking about. It's like very gospel sounding.
Okay.
His idea of spirituality I always found really fascinating because he talks about like God and like I don't know quite what it means to him yet. and he might not even know.
I don't think he knows what it means.
But I think that's cool. I think it's something cool that he explores.
Even the title of the album, Push the Sky Away, I think is like almost him like resisting spirituality and like God, but then like not being able to.
Right.
So.
Right. And he's just a really wild human being to me. Like he's been through a lot of shit.
I don't know like anything about him.
He's had 2 of his sons die.
Damn.
So right after this record, his son was 16 and died. I think it was right before he recorded Skeleton Tree. That's why Skeleton Tree seems like an incredibly heavy record. It's because his son died on a bad mushroom trip and fell off a cliff. Is what happened.
Wow.
And then his oldest son actually just died this year. And he was like schizophrenic and had committed suicide. So this dude's had a lot of shit go down in his life. And he somehow still manages to play and do music and stuff. I've never met the guy. But I can't imagine, you know. But this record, I think, is just one of his best. It's 9 songs. It's like you don't need any more than that. It feels like. I feel like it's a really well-paced record, to be honest. Even though it's like a slower pace, it seems like it's actually genuinely like the length it needs to be.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it drug at all. It just some of the songs like flowed together really nicely in ways that I didn't even realize there was really a transition.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I think
a good one.
when I seen him live, he played "Push the Sky Away" live, that song, and Jubilee Street, and Higgs Boson Blues. He did those 3. But he did Push the Sky Away, and he ended his set with Push the Sky Away. And his live performances are incredible because he brings the audience on stage.
Really?
Like he'll just grab people and just bring them up on stage. Like he's very in your face. Like he spit on me because I was like, you know, like he was singing and he just like got spit on me, and he walks through the audience, and he just has I've never heard a place go absolutely dead silent, and it was a full theater. He had that audience by the just everything. Everybody's attention was on him. Like it was one of the most incredible
very
things.
Cool. So probably a smaller scale, but that's similar to Aaron Weiss in Me Without You.
Oh yeah.
He's very soft spoken, and like he'll be jumping around screaming on stage, and then in between songs he's like, "Oh, thanks everybody for coming out and hanging out." He talks very calmly and just very gentle, but like you don't really, as long as people are paying attention to the show, which doesn't always happen,
right?
Depending on who they're playing with normally, but like there's like a captivation from like his performance and just like his presence on stage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I've only seen a handful of artists, like Norah Jones did that, and Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds did that for me. That was where I heard places actually go quiet in between songs,